All right, what up, fam? We back again. Yo, we just got two people on the panel today. We got Ask Uncle Kurt, Big Kurt with Kurt Curves on the panel today. Here on the Ragsdale's channel, y'all hit that subscribe, hit that like. Hey, the subscriptions is going up every day. We appreciate y'all. Y'all, I just saw something and I every time I see something I think is interesting or whatever, I just want to share it because this is a social media star that went down and did 2 years, I believe, for tax evasion. I believe he was already a high millionaire or whatever, but this is his press conference when he got out. So we just gonna react to it. We gonna listen to it, and it's very interesting the things that he's saying. And it's almost like a statement Malcolm X say: "The rooster, when the rooster come home to roost." Some of the plans that's been plotted against us has started to trickle over and on to the other side. Some might call it casualties of war. Some might call it something else. So, Kurt, you got anything you want to say before we start watching?
No, I'm interested because I really haven't went into depth, but I am interested to see if some of the traps that they call themselves setting for us are starting to ensnare them. So I'm looking at it from that perspective. So I'm interested to hear.
All right. Let's get into it then. Let's get into it.
Thank you all very much for coming today, for having the interest. I want to thank first and foremost my Lord and Savior, because that's who got me through it. I want to thank President Trump. I want to thank the administration. I want to thank Alice Johnson. I want to thank every person that has prayed for us, that has stayed in the fight and that fought for the truth to come out. And so I am grateful for it. And as Savannah said, she has fought a long fight. And for any parent to see their child fight this hard, it's a double-edged sword. It's a blessing, and then your heart breaks because your child has been placed in that position to fight for you, when as a parent, you're supposed to fight for your children. So I will always be grateful to you from the bottom of my heart. We've had wonderful legal representation, maybe not in the first go round, but certainly when you picked up. And we're certainly grateful to you, Alex, and to you. This is the better looking version of our team. So, we're grateful for everything that has happened thus far. And as bad as this experience has been, there's also been a lot of blessings to come from it. I have met some wonderful men. I have listened to some horrific stories about things that have gone on in our system. And whether you believe it or not, because I was you at some point, even though this pardon has happened, I still was convicted of something that I did not do. It could be you. It could be you. It could be any of you. And somewhere in this room, someone has had a family member that has been affected by this system. So I understand the shame that's around it, but I refuse to feed into that, because shame is like a cancer that just spreads, and I have no shame. So I will continue to fight for all of the guys that I dealt with and that I was blessed to be with at FPC Pensacola. I will continue to expose the injustices that go on there and throughout the department and throughout the Bureau of Prisons. I know that Julie, who is a wonderful, decent, God-fearing woman, and that I am blessed to have been married to and been with for over 30 years now. And
Somebody in the future, so be it. But I'll be frank with you, cuz I'm kind of ticked off that it reminds me that there's no pain unless there's white tears. Unless it's happening to somebody YT, it's not a wrong. It's not acknowledged. He's sitting up there, a millionaire, talking about injustice, and he didn't do it. How many black men did he sit on the jury for, or did his buddies send to jail under the same circumstances? And then depending on what type of incarceration he had, is he just talking about the white T man, or is he talking about the countless brothers that get railroaded every day? I'm just wondering.
Already. All right, let's go back to, let's see what else he had to say on this thing. Y'all check him out. Check him out. Y'all see the feminine energy is on 1,000 here, guys. The feminine energy is on 1,000. Check him out.
That go on there and throughout the department and throughout the Bureau of Prisons. I know that Julie, who is a wonderful, decent, God-fearing woman, and that I am blessed to have been married to and been with for over 30 years now, an excellent mother. She's at home with Chloe right now, and Chloe will not let her go. So we're blessed to have our family back, and we're blessed to be coming back to television, because we do have a much bigger story to tell now than we ever have. So I thank each and every one of you.
We're happy to open this up for some questions. We'll start here.
No, keep on. I want to hear what he got to say.
What was the reunion like first night, right? Todd, Julie, and family. And the second part of that is, Todd, the fans have been really talking about your physical transformation.
Yeah, I call it the BOP glow.
And so what was the motivation behind that, and how are you going to continue that sort of fitness routine moving forward?
Well, I'll actually have more access to better products now that I'm out. You know, I think that I had nothing to do other than to read and to work out. And so I worked out every morning at 10:45 until 12 with my buddies there. And I read, and my walk with Christ became deeper. And I talked to my daughter every day, to Chase, to Grayson. And I was able to email with Julie every day. And so I think that for me, I haven't had the same effects that so many people leaving the prison system have had. So I'm grateful for that. Or maybe it's just all the residual Botox that never wore off.
What was the reunion like, the first night?
Yes, I think for me, obviously I went to pick up my dad. And when he walked out, it was just such an overwhelming feeling, because the last time I was there, I was dropping him off and watching him walk away. So I think watching him walk towards me, I was an absolute disaster. And we left there and it was amazing. And I FaceTimed my friend Margot, who works within the administration, and she goes, "Hold on a second." She was like, "I'm here with the president." And we got to FaceTime the president. And it was a full circle moment.
I think that it was.
Now, did you check out right there, Kurt, where she said she called her homegirl Margot or whatever, and she was right there with the president. She works for the president.
Yeah.
So what about all the brothers that's in there 20, 30, 40 years innocent?
Yeah.
Innocent.
Yeah.
And they'll never get that opportunity. But because of the privilege. And come on now, who do you know get pardoned, and as soon as you walk out of there, you FaceTiming with the president of the United States of America?
Boy. And I'm a bit angry, to be honest, bro. And I don't want to speak out of anger. I don't want my anger to speak for me. But me and you both have had our own experiences with the criminal justice system, or the criminal injustice system.
Mm-hmm.
And this dude is steady up flaunting God, but you were accused, Jesus, the Bible instructs us to give Caesar his due also, right?
Exactly right.
So you're up there. The sodomite energy is just on blast, on fleek. And I don't like none of it. And like I said, he's got the complexion or the protection.
Yeah. Okay. Also, Larry Hoover was pardoned, and I believe he's a black man. He got pardoned also.
He's
Uh,
the founder of the Crips.
okay. Yeah. Yeah. He just got pardoned also. But let's
Yeah,
go back in and see what else this dude has to say. Y'all notice the feminine energy is on 1 million.
You know, as Savannah said, she and Nick dropped me off there, and then you picked me up. It was, I don't even know that I felt like that it was real at that moment. And I woke up the first morning and I was looking around. I'm like, this is really real. I'm home. So I was grateful for our family to be all back in the same room, to be together, to share a meal together, to pray together, and to know that we're still in the fight together.
Question second row.
Mr. Chrisley, do you have any remorse for the actions that led to your victims?
Oh, you must be CNN. Do I have any remorse? I would have remorse if it was something that I did.
Well, your wife did apologize last year.
Well, let
That's-
me explain to you how that works, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
You're placed in a position as a defendant to either bow down and kiss the ass of the Department of Justice and accept responsibility for things that you did not do in order to avoid a stronger sentence. And the corruption that went on in our case is going to continue to unfold, and Alex is going to continue to give each and every one of you the evidence that as it comes in.
Black America. Did y'all hear what he just said? We go through that in the system all the time. He just said, just because he apologized, he was just trying to get a lesser sentence.
yeah,
We go through that on a daily basis.
yeah. We do that, and it damns us.
Yes, yes, you confess. You just confess.
Exactly.
But now your own is telling you, this is why I said that. Y'all wanted me to kiss your butt. So I had to kiss the butt because y'all was trying to give me 50 years compared to what he get 30 years? 30 years.
Yeah,
But now he pardoned. He said, I didn't do none of that. So it's almost like we're getting a whiff of the lie.
yeah,
But you and I will never be able to get on a platform such as he's on and say what the system is doing to us, what they've done to our ancestors, what they've done to our people from day one.
yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
It's amazing. Let's check this character out, see what else he say. Oh,
Go
Todd.
Next question.
You haven't seen your wife in so long. Hearing her voice, seeing her, what was that like?
It was overwhelming. It was overwhelming. Julie and I have been together for over 30 years, and she is my best friend. We have raised our children together, a grandchild that is now my legal daughter. And we've had all the ups and downs. You know, we've gone through breast cancer together. We've gone through multiple medical procedures with her. And it was great to be home. No matter where that is, as long as she's there, it's home.
Got a question up here.
Hey guys, welcome home, Todd.
Thank you so much.
Welcome. I know this has been a big journey for you and for you, Savannah. What is one thing that happened behind the scenes that maybe you want the public to know to understand?
You want to go first?
I think, obviously the biggest misconception right now is that I either paid for a pardon or slept for a pardon.
That's something I would
or like that's the biggest misconception right now. And if people knew the countless hours and the money and the time that I spent going to DC, literally with not a meeting scheduled, and I just got on a plane and went and said, I'm going to be in the right room at the right time and meet the right people. I fought hard and I was exhausted and I begged for meetings. There was nothing that was I was never too good to ask. And that's the thing is people think, oh, you're a celebrity, you're white, you have money, that we got an upper hand, and we didn't. I had to fight, and I was relentless, and that's how it happened. Finally, people listened. So for me, that would be something that people just don't quite understand.
I think I think for me, watching it all unfold and listening to what she said that was coming up next, and just being consumed with pride while at the same time knowing that this is a long shot because so many people are told no. And being in the prison system, anyone that says that it's a fair shake, it's not. Because I dealt with young African-American males in the prison that I was in that were not treated the same. They were denied programming. They were denied access to certain things. I was not denied that, but we know why I wasn't denied that. And so I think that is a much bigger picture.
Kurt,
Uh-oh.
I know you got something to say. Come on.
I'm not mad. I'm not mad. I got some smart ass shit to say, but I'm not gonna say it. I'm glad to hear what he said. So what did you think I was gonna say?
I just knew you had something to say. I mean, come on, man. I mean, the dude just put the system right
On blast.
on
See?
blast for the world to hear that we've been called crybabies,
Yep.
complainers, wannabe victims.
Yeah.
He basically just told you black man is victimized.
Right. So let me say this. At the beginning, I had suspicions, but let me say this. This man right here, this soft, feminine acting dude, he confessed God and Jesus, and he come up out of a situation where he's bearing witness to what we went through. I would just say God bless him, and I sometimes you just gotta say thank you, Lord. And at the beginning of this conversation, I had him pegged wrong. But right now, what he's saying, he's the first white man to acknowledge it and say it when he didn't have no motivation to do it.
Already. Let's listen to a little more of what he talking about. This dude, it shocked me. We had to bring it to our people, man. We had to bring it to the fans.
Yeah.
Let's see what else he got to say.
That we all as a society as a whole need to look at, that we are one. And whether you're Republican, Democrat, or whatever, at the end of the day, when you're in that hospital, you don't care if it's a Democrat treating you or a Republican. Now, some of you may, but I want whoever's going to be the best person to do that. You.
Thank you. So there's no telling how many times Savannah's Instagram was refreshed yesterday with everyone looking for that glimpse of getting to see Todd. And then the first time we see you live on Instagram is in Nordstrom shopping. Can you talk about that? And then were you hesitant at all for that to be the first glimpse of you shopping?
Well, we thought through our security detail that we had beaten that and that we were good to go. And what we did not realize is that there was multiple outlets that were following us, but we had interference with the security team. And I don't know why it's that exciting to go watch me buy underwear. I mean, it's just not. But we went in to grab a few things because of I have an event to go to tomorrow. And then we looked up and this people in Nordstrom's coming and said, you need to understand that the press is here. The press is here. And so I'm like, they're just wanting this one first picture. And so I said, go live with it. I says, and that stops them. And so that's what we did.
It did. Hey.
Go down to the front and to the back.
What do you have to say to the people who say you will be part of it because of your status?
I understand it. I understand it. That's not something that you can look at and say, well, that had nothing to do with it. I don't know if it did or if it didn't, because I wasn't involved in the process. But what I can tell you is that I believe in our president of the United States, and I believe in his commitment. When he created the First Step Act, that was to help incarcerated individuals. It was not adhered to by the Department of Justice. And the entire time during the Biden administration, it was not adhered to. So to hear him say that it is now going to be adhered to and Pam Bondi is going to make sure of that, literally since Pam Bondi has stepped in, now the Bureau of Prisons have been given a directive through a new director who I have such a huge amount of faith in, William Marshall, that he is going to make sure that the First Step Act is implemented, and these men and women are going to get the credit that they're supposed to be getting. They're going to get the training and the education that they're promised, and they're going to be given a right to go back to their families in a speedier way. So I do understand that, and if that's the case, I don't know how to address the fact that if it is the case, but I'm grateful to God for whatever reason it was that we were able to obtain it.
Far end first.
Hi, we know you've called the National Area Home for a few years, having home in Trentwood. What's your plans for potentially keeping life here at Nashville?
We do have future plans. Nashville will always hold a very special place in our heart. But we have other plans.
Are you planning to stay here?
We will probably always have a presence here. I don't know that we'll be here full time.
Back row.
No, you.
People have been incarcerated a lot of times. They say that isolation and that feeling almost of not being able to associate with family and friends is almost for them feeling like part of the death. And then having them come back is almost like a second chance. Now that you have all this new understanding and experiences, really having that conversation with people in very different ways of life. How do you plan to use your platform and share different messages as you do now that you're continuing to have
This will always hold this. You can't go through what we've been through and walk away from it. I'm fortunate, so is Julie, that we never lost contact with our children. Julie and I emailed 10 times a day. And I think it's also important to understand that I was at a camp. It was the brokest child camp that you can go to. The accommodations were not great, but it, needless to say, was a camp. It was a former military base. So we had free access to walk and we had a track and a weight pile and we had things that we could do. But there are men there that after, I think statistically, after the first 2 years, people lose contact with their loved ones. And that I can't even imagine how that must feel. But at the same time, I think that we at this point, God has said, when you know better, you do better. And it's our job at this point to expose all of that and to try to make those men and women's lives better if we can. And that's what I plan to do.
So let's take a step back and take a look forward. First of all, what were both of your first reactions to the part where you were shocked? And looking forward, tell us, your return to television, this docuseries, can you tease what it will be like in nature, what the focus will be? Tell us about that.
I mean, when I got the call, like I said, I was walking into the grocery store and I stopped in the parking lot. I was like, what do? I was like, okay, go back to my car. And so I sat in my car and had that phone conversation that's online with President Trump. And I was in such shock. I really didn't know what to say. I started crying. Grayson was with me and we're like, oh my God, it's happening. It's happening. And I really don't even remember driving home. Like I was in such shock. And I then was able to talk to my parents and tell them what had happened, but it had already kind of spread like wildfire because President Trump's team posted the video and tagged it Trump Knows Best, which, I loved. But it spread like wildfire. And when they called, they're like, is this really real? Oh my, it was so hard to believe that it was actually happening.
I had a staff member that came to me and said, you've just been pardoned. And I just looked at him and he says, no, really, you've been pardoned. It's in the news. And so I walked up to call her and she said, it's true. It's true. So I remember walking back from the phone and just feeling numb, not really knowing. And then after about 10 minutes, all I could think about was the guys that I was leaving behind because I had made such wonderful relationships with those men. And when I left that day, there was only 317 men at our camp, but they were lined up shouting when I was walking out. And they were saying, don't leave it, don't forget us, don't forget us. And my commitment is to them that I will never forget them.
And how about the docuseries?
Yeah. So
that's what I really wanted to get to is when he said when he walked out of there, they were saying, "Don't forget about us." And I don't know about you, but when he said that, he said it with some conviction. I won't forget about it.
Right. Right.
But
Well,
we both know that I've had partners that's done way more than 2 years, and when they get out, they might start out hot, being an advocate, but if you notice his daughter, we went live, so they made thousands of dollars with their live,
yeah.
and everything is already popping for them.
Yeah, got a TV show coming,
Yeah. So they coming out a lot better than most of the well, all of us that come out
Right.
look better. But I just wanted to just do this quick segment showing how the system is corrupt and how when the shoe is on the other foot, because I'm pretty sure if you go to the media, first of all, you're not going to have that microphone. They're going to arrest you.
Yeah.
For even beginning to say the things that this gentleman said.
Right.
About the system.
Right.
So, and later on, he did say, hey, it took them a decade to get him. They needed a big fish. He was the hottest thing in the ATL at the time. And they got him.
Yeah.
And later on, he talked about, and everybody, y'all go watch that interview on your own time. But Kurt, he talked about how they used the black woman judge to null and void all the things that should have been in place.
Right.
She let it be said, and that's how they got him.
See, I believe it.
Yeah,
look,
that's how they got him. They used a black woman judge to send him up under.
Right. Right.
And then after he went to work and his daughter went to work and got in with a homegirl who works for Trump, they got all that black judge did. Now, I don't know about you, but my time in front of the judge, when it's a black woman, I've got treated like trash. Every single time.
I've never had a black woman judge. I've only had white women and white men.
See, well, now, currently, if you go, especially in the state of Texas, it ain't gonna be nothing but black women or either Hispanic women, and they're rude. They're very and they literally hate the black man. I don't know who watching this, but hey, I'm with y'all. But hey, we ain't gonna stay on here long. I just wanted you to see this, Kurt, because you had a perspective of this, and we dreamed of a day where we could hear somebody just get on worldwide media, social media, and say the system is corrupt.
Yes, and let me say this real quick. What we're also going to need to think about and pray about is a way to talk about not only do black men have a racist system working against us, but we've got a class war where elite black Americans can't be elite unless they're stepping on our neck because they can't get in the YT elite. So you got to stun on your people to even feel like you've done something in life. We getting it from everywhere. And I'm going to take a look at the broader perspective, and I want to continue that next week.
Already. So, yo, we've been on here 30 minutes. Y'all check this out. Y'all hit that thumbs up. Y'all subscribe. Y'all think about this. Y'all heard the man say, everybody got somebody in their family that's going through it. It can be anybody. So we need to pay attention to what's going on. It may not be you today, but it could be your loved one tomorrow. Or it could be you next week. It could be me. It could be any of us. So you got something else before we get out, Doc?
Now, bro, I'm kind of like the subject is really a layered. It's difficult to face the fact that this shit got more attention because he said it, but it's been happening to us for 100 years.
Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
It is what it is, man.
Exactly. That's why it's so important to just put your faith in God. As we always say, sometimes we just got to get up and say, thank you, Lord. So we ain't going to hold y'all. Say, y'all continue. Have a good weekend. Be blessed. We might come on here later. It depends what we doing. But say, as we always say on the Ragsdale channel, if they stand beside you, respect them. If they stand behind you, protect them. If they oppose you and stand against you, show them no mercy. Yeah. We out of here. Love y'all. Deuces.